Hello, welcome to another week at the bungalow. So we're starting with a job that we've already completed, or we thought so. That's the tongue and groove flooring that we put down a little while ago. So during the course of that, or after that, we had quite a few comments about the fact that we hadn't glued it, hadn't put any glue on the joist, hadn't put any glue on the tongue to sort of hold it all together. So Claire and I have had many a conversation with regard to the floor. We haven't had any problems with it. It hasn't been squeaking. And none of the things that people have said have started as yet. But we are belt and braces, I suppose you call it. We're going to take up the floor, stick some glue down, and then carry on from there. So just to cover ourselves. So the process we're trying to follow, lifting them, stacking them out of the way, moving them as little as possible, because obviously we've got to put them pretty much straight back in the same place. We're just applying the glue on the tongues, the grooves, and on top of all the joists, and putting the screws back in. So as little movement as possible, trying to make the job as easy as we can. As you're probably guessing, probably the worst bit is actually getting the boards apart in the first place, where we'd hammered them in nice and snug. Absolute pain to get apart. But if we weren't doing this, we'd only be watching telly, so you know, makes a change. Liberal amounts of glue going down on the joists and on the tongue. And then the process starts putting it back together again. So once again we're having to level it all, or not level it, but make sure all the joints are nice and straight. Tuck them into place. But it's nice putting that floor down even second time round. This is one of those difficult bits when it's wedged between the two walls. I mean, we've got a bit of an expansion gap, but nevertheless. But it does work just lifting the joint and then tapping it down into place, and then they snug up nicely. And as always, hammering it tight, squeezing the glue nicely just to make sure we've got a decent bond. Well, we did have the floor up. We did take the opportunity to just double check everything. So we checked on the pipe work, all the electrical connections, just to make sure we had nothing untoward. All was good. Light escape from the process and boredom of doing the floor. Play with the dog, and he appreciates it. And then, of course, the best news of the whole process. The floor actually did fit back down again, and we didn't have any bits left over. So thankfully, with that job done, dusted and out of the way, can move on to something actually new and something actually different. As far as the room is concerned, after all that work, it just looks no different. What is required is some decoration. Claire's on the case with the filling. Pretty pleased with the plasterers, but they did leave a few bits, and so it always needs a element of patching up, just through the drying process and cracks that fall. So it's getting based out like the other rooms, or the room downstairs, with a 50-50 mix of the emulsion and water, just to water it down. Ceiling's had a coat of matte white, and then we've got some colour going on the walls. Plan for the room: matte white ceiling, as you can already see. Claire's already been busy and got that done. And then the walls are going to be a strong white colour. And the reason for the laser line is because that's where the two-tone, or where the changing colour is going to go. So there's going to be a picture rail. And so the laser line obviously makes life a lot easier for looking at or getting the transition between the two just right. With the painting completed, there you can see that two-tone effect that I was talking about. Oak flooring going down, exactly the same as the rooms downstairs, keeping it nice and consistent. We've also got the door out to the balcony, so there's that to contend with as well. We're using the same sound deadening insulation board to go underneath the hardwood floor, so we're floating the floor just like downstairs. Idea being we're going to try and remove the noisy footsteps from upstairs transferring downstairs. So if we'd had a carpet or etc, it wouldn't be so much of a problem, but with the hardwood floor, can be that you hear people sort of stomping around or walking around upstairs. So by trying to disconnect it completely from all things, the transfer through the joists etc, and floating the floor, we're hoping it should separate and we shouldn't get too much noise. So Claire was the lucky one on this occasion. She gets to put the green stuff down. Pretty laborious, pretty boring sort of job, but absolutely vital because we can't move on without it. All done and dusted. Oak flooring sitting piled up waiting. As is always the case, those odd jobs that you don't really think about. So this is another one of those. So when the windows were put in, they put the rubber flashing underneath the windows, and then this is masticed into place. I'm assuming it stops the sort of transfer of the water underneath or the possible risk of water going underneath the door, but nevertheless needs removing so that we can get these first pieces of timber into place. And there's always the same problem, getting started as far as the wooden floor is concerned is the toughest bit. Getting it absolutely spot on, absolutely accurate, and especially here where we're butting up against the extruded aluminium of the doors, it really does have to be absolutely spot on. Finally invested in a nice fine toothed saw for cutting these sort of bits. So this is a lesson learned from downstairs. For cutting these sort of bits really does make a difference. And for the sake of a couple of quid, makes life easier. First piece cut and into place. Got the laser there to get it nice and straight. So you're going to see the whole bedroom completely from start to finish. So we're splitting it up over sort of 3 weeks. So with the floor glued down, decorating started, and the oak flooring going down. I thank you very much for watching this week, and we'll see you again on the next one.